So you know, one of my favorite things about student leaders, especially student leaders in band, is that you guys are the most passionate, enthusiastic people in the whole band. If you're not passionate, if you're not excited, nobody else is. If you believe what I'm saying, say, yes, you're right. Ooh, passion needs to come up. Let's do something. Let's have a little fun right up front. And if you would humor me, just repeat after me. Say, I can do anything, but I can't do everything. I can make a difference, but I have to make a decision. My voice is unique. My influence is strong. And in this space, I do belong. But it doesn't just happen. All right, I'm going to ask you to take it up a notch because we're going to do it this way. To turn to somebody next to you and say, hey, neighbor. Say, oh, neighbor.
Oh, neighbor.
I'm pretty sure some challenges are going to come our way. But here's one thing you can count on every single day. That no matter where you go, and no matter what you do, I will always be right here looking better than you. All right, give yourself a hand. All right, so good. The enthusiasm coming up. How many of you have ever stopped to think at the middle of band, maybe at a rehearsal, maybe at a game, maybe at a concert, whenever it was, and you sat there for a second and you thought to yourself, you know, not everybody in this band sees things the way that I see things. And if you've ever thought to yourself, not everybody in this band thinks the way I think, say, oh yeah, that's me. All right. And if you've ever stopped to think, if they would just do things the way I do it, believe it the way I believe it, see it the way I see it, and receive it the way I receive it, the world would be a better place. If you've ever had that thought, say, oh yeah, I've thought that. Oh, yeah. So what makes people so different? Why are people so difficult in some situations to lead? Have you found that some people just don't want to be led? Have you ever been one of those people who didn't want to be led? So let's take a look at what makes us different. Let's have some fun today with this. Jump in, do some activities. Because what we're going to talk about today is to give you the tools, the resources, and the information you need so when the new band year rolls around, when band camp starts, all these incoming freshmen that you got coming in, you can connect with them, you can communicate with them, and you can influence them to reach the vision of the band and bring this band to the next level. You know, and here's the thing. My journey in student leadership, I started, I was a drum major in my high school band, 2 years, and then I went to the All-Star Marching Band, and I was a drum major there. Don't get impressed, I was one of 5. And then I went to Drum and Bugle Corps. How many of you are familiar with Drum and Bugle Corps? Right? And so I was a drum major there. As soon as I left that situation, I was a freshman drum major in college. That almost never happens, and there's a very good reason that almost never happens. And then I was a drum major here at McNeese. Do I say that to impress you? No. I say that to impress upon you that this student leadership thing I'm very passionate about. And if some of the things that I'm going to share with you today I would have had when I was sitting where you are, I could have been so much more effective. My life could have been so much better because my student leadership experience was completely miserable for the most part. But I'm here today to help you make yours amazing through some of the mistakes and errors that I made, but some of the things that I've learned along the way. So in order to do that, we're going to talk about 3 things today. Number 1, we're going to talk about connecting with your peers. Number 2, we're going to talk about communicating better with them. And number 3, we're going to talk about influencing them. And by the time we're finished today, and we have a very short period of time, you're going to have some tools in place that you need. So if you're ready to get started, say, let's go. Let's go. All right, good. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. You've got a piece of paper in front of you. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Here's what I want you to do in that 3 minutes. I want you to draw in pictures and symbols. No words, no numbers. Everybody say no words? No words. No numbers. No numbers. Pictures and symbols only. I want you to draw on that paper an expression of who you are. Draw something about you, what you like to do, who you are, what your hobbies are, something about your family, whatever it is. Everything is open game, but here's the warning. If you don't want us to know it about you, do not draw it on that paper. Fair enough? So 3 minutes, anything you want, tell us about you on that paper. Go. Before we do this, talk to me. Tell me about, what did you learn from that experience? What are some of the things you learned in that process?
You learned about
I learned that Kaylee can't draw a cat.
All right, say again.
You learned about other people and what they like and stuff.
Sure, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But what else did you learn in that process? What kind of experience did you have there? Did it get uncomfortable at times?
Yes.
What got uncomfortable?
It was awkward. You just kind of ran out of stuff to talk about.
It was awkward?
A little bit. You just ran out of stuff to talk about.
You ran out of stuff to talk about? What else?
Looking in someone's eyes.
Ooh, looking in someone's eyes, that can get very uncomfortable, right? Especially since we're used to doing this all day, right? Hey, look, I'm guilty. I used to, you know, when I was with Dr. Tim in that session, one of the things we used to do is we'd sit down in front of somebody and he'd give us a topic. And we'd sit here with our legs crossed. I don't know if I can do this anymore, I'm getting older. But we'd sit there, and fatter. So we'd sit there and we'd have to talk to somebody for like 2 minutes without breaking eye contact. Now, if you did that in public today, somebody would punch you. So I'm not telling you to do that, but it shows the importance of eye contact. So one of the things that's uncomfortable is when we have to make eye contact with people, okay? Running out of things to say. So let me ask you this, and let's just jump in right there. If you're running out of things to say, what's the best way to keep the conversation going?
Switch the subject.
Switch the subject.
Ask random questions.
New topic.
Ask random questions.
Ask another question. Yeah. Focus. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I find that when conversation gets uncomfortable, it's generally because my mouth is running. And it happens a lot, right? But the moment I ask a good quality question of somebody else and just sit back and listen, all of a sudden they feel more important, they feel valuable, and they want to elaborate. Now, not everybody, but we're going to talk about that here in a second. So we've got some interest here. Let me ask you this. Just, you know, look at this real quick. And as a leader, what are some of the things that you see here that can be leveraged and can be used in the context of band to have a leadership opportunity to talk to somebody, to lead somebody in a certain direction, or to tap into a skill or a talent that might not be evident on the surface? What do you see there? Many times as leaders, we're going to have to delegate stuff, right? And the worst thing we can do is delegate somebody something that they think is absolute drudgery. And more importantly, don't be delegating stuff just because you don't want to do it. But if you know these people and know about them, when things arise, you can connect what they love to do, like cooking, like reading music, like texting, and you can leverage that to help them grow, but also to help the band go where it needs to. So here's what I want to point out here. Just answer this honestly. Whenever I brought you into doing this activity, I said, okay, we're going to meet each other and we're going to learn about each other. Did you bring any hidden agenda or ulterior motive to the situation? What was the directions?
Be honest.
Just to learn about each other, right? And you did that well. You learned all these great things about each other. And when I asked you to put on your leadership hat and to think like a leader, boom, there it was. And you guys came up with some great connections. Just realize that your ability to communicate effectively with your peers, build relationships, and connect with your peers is in direct proportion for your ability to put aside your agenda and ask genuine questions that teach you about them. Learn about them, let them express, let them talk. Especially when you got these freshmen who come into this group, and this is just not for freshmen, this is for everybody. Maybe it's somebody that you don't have the best relationship with, that you're having a difficult time talking to or getting to do the things that need to be done. Spend some time, back up, put your agenda aside, and generally have a conversation with this person and always focus it on them. Whenever you allow somebody to talk about them, about what they like, about what's important to them, you become the most brilliant person in the world. Now, I know you are already. But in their eyes, you become the most brilliant person in the world. And it's so easy just to ask a question. Tell me about some of your hobbies. Matter of fact, that's the best way to ask a question in many instances, is to start it with tell me. So tell me about what you like to do when you're not here at school. And just sit back and listen. You guys did a great job with this. Just remember, set your agenda aside as a leader. Learn about the people that you work with, and they will follow you readily. It's called self-motivation. If you can understand what's driving somebody and you can help them get it as a part of this experience, you won't have to go behind them and check on them. You won't have to, what they call, micromanage it. And you definitely won't have to yell at them, fuss at them, argue with them, or anything of that nature. Find out what they want, help them to get it, and you will achieve your goals. So if I had to sum it up into one word, manipulation, influence, intention. Your intention determines manipulation and influence. If you genuinely have it in your heart, you're being authentic, and you're trying to guide somebody in the right direction for your good and the greater good, then you're influencing them by your example. Manipulation is whenever you have an ulterior motive that's not in the best interest of yourself, of that person, or the organization. So just kind of keep that in mind. Authenticity trumps everything. So when all else fails, when you can't figure out what to do, be your best self. And even if you mess it up, even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you fall flat on your face, you will earn the respect of the people who follow you because they know your integrity is intact and they know that you're influencing and not manipulating. We can go down this analytical, stuffy thing, but let's have a little fun with this so it really resonates and really sticks with you. If I said the name Donald Trump, how many of you would know who I was talking about? Great. Now, political views or anything like that aside, I just want you to describe for me, when I say Donald Trump, what kind of behaviors. Describe Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what comes to mind? He's a doer. He is a doer. Say again?
Doer thinker.
Right, but what kind of behaviors would you say? Okay, great. Rude. All right? So rude's not really a behavior, so let's dig a little deeper. What makes it come across as rude? What is he doing that's rude?
He's bossing people.
Bossing people.
Decisive and dominant.
Decisive, dominant, bossy. What else? He comes across as he's knowing what he's doing, right? Confident, knowledgeable. Insulting. What is he doing that's insulting? Say again?
Being honest.
Being blunt.
Yeah.
Being blunt. What? Formal. He's more of a formal, successful, dressed type guy. What else? Anything else?
Intimidation.
Intimidating. Okay? Great. So all of these things, dominant, demanding, direct, to the point, going to speak his mind, successful, strong, confident, all of those things describe the doers in our world. So you have some of those people here in band who really, you give them a task, you give them something to get done, they charge to work. No matter who gets in their way, sometimes they go right over them, right? Understand that there's a reason for that. And let's back up for a second. You got to understand that on here, what we have is people who are more task-oriented and people who are more people-oriented. Task-oriented people, when they get to the band room, they're going to come to the band room and they're going to get right down to it. They're going to do what needs to be done. They're going to get their instrument out. They're going to start practicing. They're going to get their instrument. They're going to get their uniform. They're going to just knock it out. People who are more people-oriented, these are the people who come in the band room just to hang out and socialize. How many of you know people like that? All right? And they don't really care about doing too much. They just want to be friendly and build relationships, right? So you got task-oriented people and the people-oriented people. Then you have the more outgoing and the more reserved. I'll give you an example of outgoing. If I was in control of the lunch situation, which I'm not, and I said, what time do you guys want to take lunch? The people who are on this side, the outgoing side, would say 12 o'clock, 11:30, or whatever they wanted to do. They would just blurt it out because they're more tell and I-oriented. So let's put this up here. And if you're taking notes or if you want to, you're welcome to. They're more tell or I-oriented. It's about me. I'm going to tell you. The people over here, if I ask that same question, what time do you guys want to go to lunch? The more laid back people would look around the room. I go, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not that hungry. What time do you guys want to? They're more passive. They're more we-oriented. And they're more ask-oriented. So you have the more outgoing and the more reserved. When we talk about the Donald Trumps of the world, obviously they fall into this. They're task-oriented, which means they're driving down a list, and they're outgoing, which means they're expressive and they're not quiet. They're outgoing. So let me ask you this: if you have some of these type of people in your band, and you have things to get done, what's one of the best things that you could probably do? Give it to a doer.
Tell people to do it.
Well, give it to a doer. Let that doer go up because he's going to get it done. They're the driven people who make things happen. So if you have doers in your band, empower them with power, give them that, and your task will get done. Let's jump down to here. If I say Alvin and the Chipmunks, how many of you know who I'm talking about? All right, cool. So whether you grew up watching the old school cartoon, which I doubt, or the new movie format version, whatever, they all behave the same way. So let's talk about Alvin. I say Alvin, what kind of behaviors come to mind? Talker.
Outgoing.
Outgoing. Mischievous. Spontaneous. Sneaky. What else? Huh?
Energetic.
Energetic. Full of energy. What else?
Confident.
Confident. What else? Impulsive. Anything else? Huh? Okay. Optimistic. He's not going to walk around dragging the ground. He's going to be positive. He's going to be optimistic. He's going to see the opportunity. Anything else? Alvin. So whenever Alvin's pushing the envelope, or he's out of place, or he's going too far, what does Dave always say to Alvin? Alvin, right? So he's always getting called down and called out. Now let me ask you this. Does Alvin want to be in the forefront or in the background? All right. So what position in the band might the talkers of the world gravitate towards? Say again. Drum majors. Watch it. I'm telling you, if you got any talkers in here, watch them. They will aspire. Whether they get there or not, it's a different story, but you will see. Because they're like peacock people, man. They just show off, and they're big personalities. They're show people by nature. All right? So those are the Alvins of the world. So if you're taking notes on your paper, remember, doers are the Donald Trumps. Alvins are the talkers. Let's go over here to this quadrant that's labeled thinker. Let's talk about Simon. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. Let's talk about Simon. Simon has what? Glasses. Right. And so let's keep this on a very positive level. But what do we normally associate with people who wear glasses?
Intelligence.
Smarts. Intelligence. Smart. Anything else?
Submissive.
Okay.
Blindness.
Say again? Blindness. Let's keep it positive. What else? Smart. Huh?
Passive.
A little bit more on the passive side. What else? They keep to themselves.
Quiet.
Quiet.
They see kind of both sides.
They see kind of both sides. They weigh things. What else?
Neutral.
Could be neutral. Could be more even keel, laid back. All right? These people are generally the analytical people in our lives. They ask a lot of questions. How many of you know people, whether it's in the band or outside the band, there's those people, your friends, the people you hang out with, and some of them are just constantly asking questions about everything. They're in class. I got a question. I got a question. I got a question. Oh, gosh, shut up. Somebody throw a book at him. Or an instrument. No, don't throw the instruments. Okay? But they're analytical. They're driven by data. Here's the thing. Here's what they value. They want to know credibility. They want to know where you got your information. They want to know that you're trustworthy. They value quality. These people would rather do nothing than do the wrong thing. They'd rather say nothing than say the wrong thing. And a lot of times when you have them in the band, you're trying to get them to take action and go in a certain direction. They're not quite sure of how it's all going to work out. And so they hesitate and they delay. So don't get frustrated. We're going to break it down here a little bit more in a second. I'm just giving you an overview. But these are your analytical thinker part. These are also the people that if you're sitting there talking to them and you ask them a question, where's my thinkers in the room? Okay? These are, if I go and I ask them a question, I just say, hey, so how long have you been in band? Real simple question, right? They're going to sit there and they're going to analyze that in their head and just be quiet for... I've been in band for 9 years. What took you so long to answer me? They process. And so some of us who are talkers or doers can get very impatient with people who are like that. So that's one thing we're going to focus on and look at is some of the subtleties of the way these people behave so that we don't alienate them because we don't understand them. Okay? Finally, let's go to the last one, which is sweet, lovable Theodore. So if I say Theodore and you think about all the movies that you've seen, she gets a big old smile. She must be a guardian. You a guardian? Oh, you're a talker, but you love Theodore, don't you?
Yeah.
Ah! Guardians love... Theodores and guardians of the world love puppies. They love to talk about puppies. They love to cuddle puppies. They like to buy puppies. They like to feed puppies. They love puppies. I don't know what it is. They love puppies. But Theodore, when I say Theodore, what comes to mind? What behaviors, what characteristics come to mind when I say Theodore? Say again.
Sweet and shy.
Sweet and shy.
Cares for others.
Huh?
Cares for others.
Cares for others.
Modest.
Modest. Go ahead. Kind-hearted. Humble. Lovable. It's not really a behavior, but I know where you're coming from.
They kind of like give in.
They give in. Could come across that way. Say again. They can come across that way. What else? These are the peacemakers. How many of you have, do you have people in the band who are always trying to take care of other people, corral everybody, get everybody together, make sure everybody's happy, comfortable, warm, peaceful, don't like friction, want to make sure nobody's fighting, and everybody's happy? Those are your Theodores of the world. Okay? And I give each of these people a symbol. I give the doer an exclamation point because they're driven, they're to the point. Okay, and they're exciting people for the most part. They get things done. The Alvins of the world, I give them a star. More particularly a gold star, because I'm serious. Watch this. If you're a leader, watch this. If you have a talker, a pure talker in this group, and you want to recognize them and reward them, first and foremost, do it in front of everybody because they love the attention. But all you got to say to a talker is this: man, that was a great job. I'm going to give you a gold star. I kid you not. That's what they're going to do. Because you say you're going to give them a gold star, that is like the pinnacle. And you think I'm joking, and I'm only halfway off, but I'm serious. They love recognition and praise. Now, you say that to a doer, you might get socked in the nose. Because they're going to look at you and go, who are you? Who put you in charge? I can do that better than you anyway. And then, so understand that. So I give them a gold star. Now, these guys over here, I give a question mark to because they're constantly asking questions. And it's going to drive some of you absolutely mad that that is happening. Over here, I give them a peace symbol. No, that's not a Mercedes sign. Took me a long time to discern the two. They like to keep the peace. Matter of fact, the Theodores of the world have a favorite day in their life that's never actually really happened, but they think about it all the time. It's when them and 10 of their friends, usually in band, are sitting around a campfire, rocking back and forth, holding hands and singing. I'm still glad y'all know that song. That's your guardians of the world. All right? So that's an overview of what these people look like. Now let's dig in a little further and see what to do when we communicate with these people. What not to do. What motivates them, what drives them, and how we can best partner with them and communicate with them so we can get the results we want without manipulating, but by influencing.